So, welcome to another episode of Doomsday Doopy Doo. I am Nick. I'm here with Chris. How's it going, Chris?
Nick?
We just quickly. It's just we had an episode with we just finished the RPG, playing some role playing some Gown World, and we were recording it, and we had some really cool parts that the batteries on our recorder crapped out on. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah. So the fact that I've been making fun of Nick, who asks every episode, "Are we recording?"
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. So now I understand.
And he doesn't find it.
It's not funny anymore. Yeah.
So we're I'm a little. I don't know. I'm a little. If I'm a little screwed this episode, maybe that's why. I don't even think I have a lot to speak about, except I was driving. I forget when I was driving. It's not in the driving story, but I saw something that made me laugh. I don't know. You might know the answer to this. I don't know, but it was a church, and I don't know how religious you are. I forgot.
Not.
I know you're agnostic, but I don't know. So, excuse me. The Church of the Assumption.
Oh,
was the name of it, and it struck me because I remember, the Church of the Ascension I've heard of, but the Church of the Assumption. Now, I'm thinking that maybe the Assumption is an event that occurred that I don't remember. Because what would the assumption be?
Well,
what is it that they're assuming?
That God is there?
The church.
Is this a real philosophical
is this
church?
The assumption? Are they making the assumption? Or are they saying, coming here, you're making an assumption? What's the assumption?
They're all.
I was like, that's a terrible name for a church. The Assumption.
Isn't faith like a?
It's like the Church of Maybe.
The Church of the
Church of Meh, like Church of the Assumption.
The Church of the Assumption.
So you don't know what the Assumption is?
I don't, but I'm gonna look. I want to,
It didn't need an answer, but
no, but I've seen. I want to say I've seen the church. Well, this was the Church Assumption. The Church Assumption. The Church of the Assumption. Yeah, that's really not. There's Assumption Roman Catholic Church.
Okay. What's the Assumption?
There's actually 3 churches of the Assumption within striking distance of us.
What are they assuming? What's the assumption?
That God exists.
No.
The Church of the Assumption is now the parish of Saint Isidore of the Farmer.
Okay.
Yeah,
so it was an event. It had to be.
The Assumption of Mary into heaven is according to the beliefs of the Catholic Church. So I guess we should talk about the definition of Assumption Church. The Assumption of Mary into heaven, often shortened to the Assumption, is, according to the beliefs of the Catholic Church, Eastern and Oriental Orthodox, the bodily taking up of the Virgin Mary into heaven at the end of her earthly life.
Oh, so she ascends into heaven as a full body.
Yes.
That's what it
soul,
was.
body intact.
Her body just floats up.
So as a part of the Holy Trinity?
Well, no, I think she's the only one who does that.
She's the only one that gets to do that?
Yeah.
Because she's his mom's.
Yes. She's like goes up with flesh and everything.
Okay.
I think so.
So you made an assumption.
No, I didn't make an assumption. I didn't know what the assumption was. That's why I asked. I didn't want to assume.
Okay.
So that's why I asked.
Well, I didn't know the answer, but we found the answer. I assumed, I made an assumption that it had to be something more than just...
It's just a weird name for something, assumption. That still doesn't, what you just described doesn't sound like an assumption.
It doesn't. It seems like pretty straightforward.
It sounds like an ascension.
Ascension is what it sounds like, yes.
Right. That's what screwed me up.
It's funny, though, but yeah, it went to Virgin Mary over and over and over again. So it must be a pretty Catholic church, I'm guessing. This one's Roman Catholic. So
I had some copy pasta. You know what copy pasta is?
Mm-mm.
It's a play. It's an internet thing. It's a play on the words copy and paste, where you'll come across something on the internet that seems to have been copied from one place and pasted somewhere else. Like you'll see maybe a comment on the internet that you seem to read over and over again. You've read it in several places because it was copied and pasted, and it was copy pasta. They call it copy pasta, and some things are worthy of being copy pasta. Something that you would want to copy and paste somewhere else. So Reddit has, of course, a Reddit called Copy Pasta. Okay. And I go there because there's always good copy pasta there. And I can't get it. I don't see. I don't think I linked it properly here, but there was a comment that was a copy pasta for Trump and this whole Russian thing. The whole Trump thing, really, from really the election, I think, on, completely breaking down how Trump is under complete control of Putin. It's a wild freaking comment. It is such a wild comment because it's laughable in some regards, but it's like it's really good because it has all these sources listed and everything. Fun. It's kind of fun to read because it's. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, especially if it, but I think maybe I'll bring on the next show because we have the list that we were going to talk about, and you think it's going to be quick, and I don't think it's going to be.
I don't know. We'll have to see. I question how it depends on how serious we take it. The lists, our official. We had our list together, our fledgling list.
Yeah, that we just kind of did off the cuff.
Yeah. Then Nick assigned homework, which was a more and I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Yeah,
maybe because I did it at work. I was in a very different mindset. Like I was very focused and serious about. Like if somebody gave me a task to do, how I would tackle it. My analytic mind was like, okay, I started to put a list together and I started to sort it. And once again, now we're going into the bit before we officially are we segueing into the bit? Or are we going to do something else?
It was a segue, but you fucking mutilated it.
Anyways, it's fine. I do that.
I think that we're in a bunker. And we don't seem to address it much.
I think that's ironic, though.
Yeah.
Why would you talk about being in a bunker when that's where you live every day?
Right. So I'm not saying we've done anything wrong to this point, but I do think we need to put some thought into what the hell we're doing in this bunker, because there's a lot of reasons for this bunker.
Okay.
And I think we should address them.
Okay. The reasons for the bunker. The reasons why we're down here.
Well, what are the reasons for a bunker? And so we had come up with a list. Like you said, it was kind of we were just throwing stuff out there.
Yeah.
Reasons for bags of rice and cases of water. And now we kept adding to it, taking away from it, and I realized we don't really have an official list. Because you may want to prep for something like one thing you may prep differently from another.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are certain things that would be constants. I don't know. I think you could come up with a prep plan for most things. I think maybe how the bunker was constructed specifically, modifications that might be necessary. But I think if you had a foolproof plan, I don't know. I mean, look, there are things on this list that you might not come back from. Like, there's no coming back from. There's no surviving some of the things on this list. I'm looking at this
and trying to think if there's anything that is surviving. Well, maybe number 4 and 3 would be hard. 2 would be probably hard to survive as well. So maybe, see, I didn't read them in severity of survivability. Is that what you did?
No.
Okay, me neither. I just did maybe more on likelihood.
So, and I even did that too, but it was more like a short term versus long term. Like things that I thought were probable, but more long-term effects, I put lower on the list than things that could imminently right now actually happen realistically. Does that make sense?
Say it again.
So if something were long-term, well, see, and this is, it's hard to say this without going into, I think we have to go into the list. Yeah, because I think.
Should we go backwards or forwards?
I think we should start at least likely to most likely. Or sorry, 10 to 1.
10 to 1. And should we go 10? Should we just say, I say my 10, you say your 10?
Yes, and then justify. And yeah, pontificate.
Well, I'm looking at my list. I did it last week. And I looked at I looked through the list again quickly, obviously, to see, because everything changes every goddamn week. There's something else that's going to kill us. But I think 1 and 5 are the same. Too similar on my list. But we could always address that debacle when we get there. So you want to give me your number 10?
All right. Well, I want to start with number 11 on my list.
There's 11?
I have an 11.
Well, I have honorable mentions.
How do we want to address honorable mentions then? Do we bury the lead and do it up front, or do we bring it later on after we get to 1?
I think it's an afterthought.
Okay, good. Fair enough.
So let's start with 10.
Number 10 on my list
On your list
is Aliens. Is number 10 on my list.
Aliens.
And aliens in the sense more than just
You don't mean like Mexicans?
No. Well, Trump's taking care of that.
Okay.
We're gonna have the wall. It's like a state of emergency now.
He's talking about something like that.
Yeah. So we're gonna get the wall. Aliens are gonna be fine. We're gonna keep the goddamn
Hopefully.
Canadians out, but
Right.
the Mexicans will be out. They're not coming.
They don't know anything about ladders.
No, they don't. Or digging under.
They can't dig.
They'll
either.
just go against the wall.
No,
Bang against the wall like a moth. Nobody south of the border knows how to handle the wall.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I mean, aliens from outer space, and it could be anything from, I'm not going to say ray gun Martians are going to land on the planet, but I think that we talked about the likelihood and the percentages that there's some other form of life, maybe not even carbon based out there.
Right.
And also, as I organize some of these other things, aliens worked its way.
For the explanation.
Aliens worked its way onto the list because I started to group things together into categories of like, okay, once again, it was like how we said, how are you splitting this up, right? I mean, there are multiple natural disasters. Are you going to say natural disasters? Or are you going to say
right?
So I wrote a bunch of stuff down, and then I started to group it. And ridiculous
the list isn't easy.
Ridiculous things that might have been on the perimeter of the list, like aliens,
right,
worked its way up to 10. But I also looked at some other lists, and a lot of people put aliens out there as a realistic thing. What type of alien life? A fucking space fungus, a space disease, something on a fucking asteroid.
Yeah, look, I don't begrudge you. Why do I keep saying begrudge? Begrudge is to. I'm not even going to get into that.
You don't judge me. You don't prejudge me. You don't profile me.
Yeah, I definitely profile you, but I don't think I'm not blaming you for picking aliens.
Okay,
that's not that bad of a thing.
I mean, it was on the list before. I also felt like we put it on the list before. It should have a place on this.
Turn it on and off the list, but okay. So you have a number 10.
Okay, so my number 10 is aliens.
Mine are too similar, but I'm going to start with. Because there's a lot of war on my list.
So you broke war up.
I broke war up.
Yeah, okay.
So number 10 I have is Middle East escalation.
Okay, that's very specific.
Yeah, like
at 10, Middle East escalation.
Yeah, it gets more likely. Well, you know what? Yeah, it's probably in a bad spot.
It's more probable than.
It's more probable than the next three I'm going to say, probably.
Exactly. I mean, that's...
But the next three may be prompted by number 10. I don't know. But that still puts 10 ahead of him. Well, listen, we could discuss the order, but...
Yeah, no.
Middle East escalation. I mean, you got Syria, that whole buzzsaw.
So what's the most likely start of it? Is it Syria?
Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia. They killed that Khashoggi guy. What's his name?
Oh, Saudi Arabians are going crazy lately.
Yeah, they freaking killed that journalist,
the Turkish guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fucking horrible story, dude.
Wasn't it a terrible story? What about the picture of him shaking the hand of the guy's son? Imagine you shaking the hand of the murderer of your father.
It's crazy, dude. And then they chopped the guy up in the fucking room, and they had somebody was taping it or something. Why the fuck would you tape that?
I don't know.
They had loud music going because the people couldn't stand to hear the sound of them cutting the body up. Did you read that fucking story?
But what tools? Like, what tools would you... How would you make that much noise cutting up a body?
I think it's the sound of a saw going through flesh is disturbing. So they had them put Walkmans on. And they were being instructed by someone who was a professional at doing this. That's some scary fucking shit.
Right.
That's some scary shit, dude. And then the way they could get him out of the hotel without anybody knowing, and it was fucking dark. See, but I'll be more apt to read a story that's that dark because I'm like, wow, that's fucking dark. But like, I would probably never read the whole thing about Trump and Russia.
What movie was that? They're looking for John Wick. What does he call it? Car wash?
Car wash?
When they come, they clean up.
Oh, the cleaner.
Yeah, the cleaner, but he orders a car wash, I think.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
The car wash. Yeah. Then he comes
I haven't seen the original John Wick yet. I've only seen John Wick 2.
Oh, okay.
But I have it on DVD.
All right. It's a fun action movie.
That's what the second one was fun.
Okay, so that's I don't even know if I need to elaborate more on it than that.
No, I mean, I think
just too much.
There's a lot of shit going on.
down.
It starts with Israel
Iran,
and fucking Syria, fucking with Israel.
Iran with the nuclear weapons, the Turkey, that Trump's now saying he's pulling out of Syria.
I didn't know we were in Syria.
Russia's like applauding the thing. Turkey's masturbating about jumping back in there as soon as we leave. All this stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then the oil and all that shit there too. It's all just a powder keg.
Yeah, I mean, and the Middle East is on every list for the past probably 30 years.
No, because we've been on the brink
years.
because of the Middle East so many times.
Right. All right. So what's your number 9?
All right, number 9. I have robots at number 9. So let me just explain.
Okay.
And I put artificial intelligence and nanotechnology, and a lot of it's coming from all this Gamma World reading, but our reliance on technology, machine learning, I mean, kids, like I said, what do we do without Google? What do we do without these things? As we proceed further along and become more advanced and we stop doing anything, we will rely on machine intelligence to do things, and that shit can go crazy at any time. So when you put it in charge of something like, oh, it's running our nuclear reactor, what could go wrong? We'll just leave it there. We don't need people there anymore. And the next thing you know, something fucking goes haywire.
So like automation gone bad.
I mean, I once again, it sounds stupid when I say robots, but I started thinking about what some of these things were, and I'm like, that's a realistic, once again.
That's better than my number 9.
Long-term, technology is going to fucking kill us. Like I said, we're going to put a moon up there so we don't have to put up street lights.
Long-term, yeah, I'm in agreement that probably we'll either have to change drastically or just be overtaken technology-wise. Like, way out in the future, we probably wouldn't be recognizable humans. Yeah. We would have to assimilate with tech some way.
Yeah. And then Skynet becomes self-aware and fucking blows the whole thing up.
Right. Well, that's why Elon Musk is starting the company to make the chip to enhance yourself.
Okay.
I'm sure the people throwing billions of dollars at him. But anyway.
Yes. So what?
My number 9 is war started by China.
China war.
Well, war, not a war necessarily with China. War started kind of because of China.
They're aggressive, or
all the shit, all the weird stuff that they're doing, and may try to manipulate or cause something. I don't trust them. I feel like something's weird going on there. I feel like you have the whole Huawei thing with all those devices, setting up bases. I think setting up these huge operations in Poland, which is like NATO country, and
the hacking,
the cybersecurity issues, the trade wars and the tariffs, the intellectual property theft, this now new space war that's going on, where they're rushing to maybe through using some of this intellectual property that they've stolen. They've gotten a lot of shit off of Lockheed. Lockheed makes no bones about that. So I feel like just things escalating, and they are so good at. I think they're such planners. They're so laser focused and like long-term thinkers that they probably have this whole chess game or a game of Go that they would probably play, where they just have all these moves in advance where they're going to play somebody against somebody else. That's what I feel like.
And they have the numbers too. I mean, there's a lot. I was reading an article now that the birth rate is actually down, that they've controlled that to some degree because they're reaching a critical point where, and this segues into my next one too a little bit, but where there's a lot of people in that country, and we talked about they eat everything, and some of them, I think that's partially out of necessity because they have so many people that they have to feed. So everything is and they're just running out of place for all these people. So they're doing all that, controlling the population, right? Limiting the number of kids per family, and that's all out of necessity. Yeah. And they have the numbers, dude. They could have a massive war and probably have massive losses, and it would be crushing losses to us if they were to throw an army at us, Did
you see, and this scares me about us, as a country. I'm so afraid of us turning into this, okay? Because we give a little bit of this, a little bit each day. We seem to give up a little bit extra something, you know. And I feel like, that whole thing. Like, in China, did you see that whole not a credit system, but kind of like a credit system? But it's not just your credit score; it's like a character score.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And
sounds like an episode of Black Mirror.
No, and this is real. This is in China now.
Yeah. That
you have like a number that's assigned to you, and as you, it's almost like the honor system in Red Dead. I mean, as you do good things, that number goes up, and you're recognized again amongst your peers that this number is high, and it affords you more opportunity, better life, all these things. So the country's torn because like a lot of people have like probably decent scores, and all I have to do is get this number up, and my state in life, my station in life will improve, and of course there's other people that where being that this number comes from the government, he's an educated guy, I think he's a professor or something, but he's always been outspoken about liberties of people and all this stuff, and the government doesn't like that, and he's got a terrible number. Some stores won't even like sell him food. They won't even like deal with him because they're afraid that dealing with him is going to lower their number, right? And now there's a way, they're embedded in this number, this database of these people. There's an app that they have in China where if you come near somebody who's in like severe debt or is in debt, your phone will alert you, and you can see. And if that person is living a lifestyle that you think is not indicative of someone who should be in debt, you could take a picture and report that person.
Oh, geez.
So it's like, this guy's in debt, but look at the car he just got out of. Here's a picture of him driving this super fancy car.
That's like the guy that you have a roommate that you're paying rent, but you can't make rent, but then they notice you come back from the music store with a couple of CDs. And
right.
Like, oh, he's got money for CDs, but he can't fucking pay rent.
Right, except now the whole population is after you with their phones, right? So and we as a country, we're not – now if I say that'll happen here in this country, you'd say you're fucking crazy. But every day – we give a little bit, and we give a little bit, and a little bit is more normal to us. Mm-hmm. Like South Park did that whole thing, this whole season, cancel South Park, where your school shootings is like normal. It's normal now, and it shouldn't be normal. Like there's things that should not be normal to us that is slowly just becoming normal. And that saying how to eat a Buick. 1 teaspoon at a time. Just eventually, you grind it up, teaspoon, teaspoon, teaspoon. Teaspoon's nothing.
Yeah.
But before you know it, you eat a fucking Buick, and that's something that would belong on the list, and you would need a bunker for, in my opinion. But I don't even know what you would even call that. But that's fucking China right now.
Okay. And that's your number.
That's my number 9. So what's your number 8?
Once again, going into hanging right off of China, and that's a good segue. At number 8, I have overpopulation.
Overpopulation. Too many people running out of
just everywhere, running out of food, running out of resources,
food and water.
All those people together, and the pollution that we generate, and the greenhouse effect. That being so, like I said, some of these things feed into that because I have climate change on the list. I think every list I saw has climate change on the list. A lot of people say that's their number 1. But I think overpopulation feeds into that because it's that emission, right? The carbon dioxide, the industrialization, the greenhouse effect, all that shit, right?
Right.
And overpopulation.
I like that. I like that one. I can't make fun of you for that one.
No. I had to come back from aliens and robots.
I don't have anything like that.
You don't have overpopulation?
Well, number 5 is maybe similar on that.
All right. So what's your I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to – one thing I wanted to add, though, about back to China and that whole system you were talking about. It sounds like – and I work for a big corporation, and you have to grade people, and you set up a system, but there has to be a way to decide because only so many people can be at the top of that system. Everybody can't have the same numbers. You can't – the playing field can't be level set because then the
There's no
whole
reason for
system
numbers.
is in question, right?
Right.
But so at some point, yes, arbitrarily, some group of people need to make a decision about you that probably has very little to do with you and more to do with how they feel about you.
What?
So you're a 100 and I'm a 100, right? But there can only be so many people with a 100 credit score.
Right.
I don't know what it's called, but like theoretically.
Right.
At some point, someone has to be devalued lower than the other one. And you know what? You do great things. I do great things. And we do the exact same amount of great things, right? But the government organization where they work, you have an uncle that works in there. And this guy knows your uncle who knows your cousin who knows you. And he doesn't know shit about me.
Right.
So who ends up 100 and who ends up 99?
Right. Exactly.
And sometimes it's just, you know what? I look at that guy and I like the way he looks. You know what? He has a luscious head of hair, or he's fit and he's not fat. He's not a fucking slob or whatever. And every system has that, right?
Oh yeah.
All the way back to the feudal days, right? Of who is and who isn't. And that's a problem with a system like that, is because at some point you have to make an arbitrary decision based on something that really has nothing to do with
Well, everything runs
appearance. Matters.
You know, I mean, everything runs that way, but it's something that we do, unconsciously, subconsciously.
It's bias.
But it's
subconscious bias.
Yeah, and everybody has it.
Mm-hmm.
For just about any transaction you do in life, but when the government is in control of that number, that's fucking scary shit.
I mean, whether it's a government or your corporation, and I'll even say, I'm not going to say my corporation is bad at it, but at some point, some of the decision makers in history have been bad at what they've made. They have bias. And interesting that you said bias in what you just said, because I was doing an interesting course about bias and about how you perceive things, and there was an interesting exercise in there with, you see this, and because of the shading it looks like it's two different colors, but it's actually the same shade of gray, but your mind subconsciously,
that chessboard?
Yes, the chessboard. Yeah, you've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really cool, and they literally did this cool thing where they laid it across. It's probably the same fucking training program that you've seen, probably the same fucking video even, and they overlaid it and they go, it's the same shade of gray, but your mind, your bias about what the shadow was doing and the way that it looked made it look darker because your mind said it has to be darker. Right.
Well, mind,
that's subconscious bias.
Right. And the mind fills in all sorts of gaps. There's gaps in vision, hearing, and there's all these gaps. And what the brain does is it literally stitches things together.
Yep.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
So you really, a lot of your reality is made up in your mind.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
No, of course. Yeah.
So bias is just bound to happen.
But it's clearly being addressed by, like I said, I think most companies try to address it, and they do their best. But at the end of the day, there's a person there who has this stuff, and he may not overcome it as well as other people. And he says, this guy looks nicer than this guy, and my mind says this is the guy who's the right guy, right?
Right.
Anyway, so
some of management is following your gut.
Some of it, if you have good instincts, yes.
Yeah.
But what if you're a manager with bad instincts?
Then you're gonna have a bad gut.
Yeah. So, my number 8 is overpopulation. Your number 8 was...
Oh, we're up to my number 8.
Yeah.
See, mine is like, there's a lot of war here. A lot of war.
Okay.
This is low on the list, so the bottom. That's why Middle East escalation should have been higher. But war started because of, I have by. Really, it's not by. Because of Russia.
Russia. All right. So your number 9 was war started because of China.
No. Yes.
And number 8 was war started because of Russia.
Right.
Okay.
So I basically went Middle East, China, Russia.
Okay.
In the orders of threats to the world.
Okay.
And I really should have switched Russia with what my number 7 is. It's funny that every time I look at this list, I want to change everything about it. I can never decide on which one really should be high on this list, which in itself says something.
Yeah.
Except aliens, I'm pretty sure that should be number 10. Yeah, Russia. And I'm gonna leave Russia at Russia.
Okay.
I don't think that everybody knows about Russia.
Yeah, and they've been there forever. I mean, I question that they're more dangerous than China, only because China is so aggressive. Even back when I was in the Navy and we were in the Indian Ocean, the Chinese fucked with us, dude. Like, they would turn their weapons on and run at us at full speed and then stop and turn around. Like, they would fuck with us, dude. Like, right on the edge of where you would be, like, something that you might engage in. But there was a lot of gamesmanship between them and us. And actually the Indians, too, and their subs. A lot of gamesmanship going on between those places, you know. You think about world navies outside of ours, you would say we were the greatest navy in the world. I don't think we are anymore. I think China has probably the greatest navy in the world.
Really?
India probably has a better navy than us now because we cut back so much. But yeah, there were interactions with some of the Iranians too. The Iranians fuck with us too.
Yeah?
Yes.
I'm sure everyone fucks you as soon as you leave port.
Yeah. We were usually a small group. There were like three of us in our little. Usually, there's a bigger battle group. Our battle groups were smaller because we were doing different types of operations. We were a badass group, but yeah, my ship was probably the biggest of the three. It was us and I think 2 frigates. So, and we did a different type of operations. But yeah. So, but I question that. I mean, because Russia is, you know, they've suffered through their whole collapse, right? And they fell apart. And they're kind of pulling themselves back together now.
But what if this Mueller investigation finds fucked up Russian shit? I mean, you have to remember that when the election was going on, like I think a week or 2 before the actual election, that I hope I have this story right, but President Obama picked up that red phone and called Russia.
Yeah.
And told them to stop.
Really?
Yeah. All like no one knows what that was about, but he picked up the red phone and said stop.
So,
and that like stop. What like there's missing parts to that story. Stop what? And then now, just with this whole investigation that's going on, if it found like even more like crazy shit.
But what the idea is the Russians hacked something to give Trump the election because Trump is completely in their pocket. Trump is friends with Putin.
What if
Trump is a puppet of Russia?
What if that they found that the president of the United States has been somehow compromised by Russia, by a Russian intelligence agency, and it fires off a separate investigation over the election itself, and they find hacked voting equipment, and it turns out that voting equipment was hacked by the Russian intelligence agency. Is that an act of war?
So here's what's funny about that. That is some crazy ass shit that when a Democratic president was in office, they would have accused Republicans of thinking.
Exactly. No,
it's crazy in that
Absolutely.
way. And the other thing I would say would be this is so. And I'm not 100% a Trump guy. He's a fucking
It's low
moron.
on my list. This is number 8.
But I'm just saying, what is Trump doing to help Russia by being a total buffoon that he is?
Well, that's one.
But to what end? Just to discredit discredit us?
Putin wants to do anything he can to meddle with democracy. That's one.
Okay.
He's seems to have been getting us to be pulling out of Syria, which is also good for Russia.
Okay.
Though on the other end, we are putting I think we have some nasty sanctions on Russia. Right now.
No.
So it doesn't all jive.
No, I always find that the most extreme explanation is not the true explanation. Did they meddle in things thinking that Trump being in office would do those things without I think there's a whole part of our country that thinks that no, Trump is a puppet with Putin's hand up his ass. And I'm like, I don't really believe that it's to that degree. Did he do something to fuck with the election so Trump will get elected? I think that's a very real possibility. Is he in control of our country?
No,
I don't
think he's in control. I said I didn't say he's like a puppet. I said he's somehow compromised.
Well, I think it would make sense that he would devote resources because he would realize that Trump was feeding into this whole seclusionism thing of we want to retreat back to Fortress America, no longer be involved in the world politics, and that Russia could become a bigger world political figure, become more of the good guy,
spread
right?
The void.
Yeah,
spread into the void.
Maybe. I mean, is it, it's unfortunate, but
Right.
I mean, it's certainly within the realm. That's within the realm of possibility. Then you have the crazy people who say, Trump is fucking Putin's puppet, and Putin just calls him up and tells him what to do, and I'm like, all right, calm the fuck down.
It's not like that. But it's possible he's compromised.
They're friends. They were friends. They're friends, right? They're
friends.
friends.
Friends can you be friends with
Business?
Vladimir Putin?
No.
Anyway,
no, that guy's chilling. When the interview with Putin is like listening to an interview with a serial killer, because I was watching on HBO. It was Oliver Stone was interviewing him, and he was speaking in Russian, and he was fucking. I don't speak Russian. He was fucking charismatic as fuck in Russian, dude.
Yeah,
but also ice cold. You're like. And you're reading it, but you're listening to his voice, and you're like, this motherfucker is cold-blooded, and he's fucking smart, and he is fucking charismatic and fucking scary as hell.
Yep.
It was like the Iceman tapes. Remember that the guy, the Iceman, that mob killer, the Iceman?
No, I didn't see that.
Matter-of-factly talking about fucking executing people. This has become a very dark show. But
we had the shit show in my
the shit show. Now we're doing the dark show. But all right, so
that's number 8.
I only give you a hard time only because I say why rush over China, but I guess the threat is a different kind of threat. It's a background threat as opposed to the Chinese being this massive force of army and
All right.
So number what are we at? 7, right?
Yeah, 7.
So at number 7, I have once again I lumped a bunch of things together here. I have astronomical event. I accidentally typed astrological event, which is we had a massive birth of Sagittariuses in. But so astronomical events,
yeah.
Meaning solar flare, giant asteroid, magnetic pole reversal, and or gamma rays. So I kind of lumped those things all together, because I've been reading a lot of articles about all of it, right? Asteroids, you're always hearing about these gravitational anomalies they're picking up. Is it a giant fucking asteroid moving towards us? Would we even see it? We talked about that already. The magnetic pole reversal, I was just reading the other day that the North Pole, first of all, we're due for it to reverse. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but I've heard that the magnetic North Pole has fucking moved significantly.
Yeah.
And then also that when the poles shift, and this is why
what happens? Like I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I heard it's not great.
No, it's bad because what happens is part of what is protecting us from space, gamma rays specifically, from the sun, is our magnetic field around the Earth. When the poles shift, think about it. North goes to south and south goes to north. And as it does that, at some point, the magnetic field of the Earth literally has to kind of neutralize itself. And when that neutralizes itself...
No, I don't think it works that way.
That's how it works, dude. The poles...
It spins around.
What do you mean it spins? What
the poles move like this. It doesn't cancel itself out. No, it's not like they're not merging to the center and crossing.
I read something about that, and looking at the list was that when the poles reverse, that the magnetic field is decreased, and when the magnetic field of the Earth is decreased, maybe not completely gone, but decreased, it will allow gamma rays in, which is not a healthy type of radiation that can cause massive problems to the environment, to humanity, to technology specifically, too.
Right.
So, that was a scary thing. I was like, holy shit, the poles, and they're like, oh, and we're due for a magnetic pole reversal. It happens every, 1,000 years, I was reading. And I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking scary. And the pole's fucking moving. I'm like, this shit could fucking happen. And what happens
happens if we think it's a slow thing and it's an instantaneous thing?
That would be fucked up.
That would be messed up. Like one day, all of a sudden, all your GPS is wrong.
I mean, I think it would be better if it were quicker because we would recover. But imagine if it slowly, the North Pole just went along the fucking east and moved and all the toilets would go the other direction. I don't know. What the fuck? Isn't it in Australia? Doesn't it spin the other way?
That's, I think, an urban myth. What are we doing? 7?
So 7, yeah. So that's solar flare, asteroid, magnetic pole. It's
solar flare.
Event.
Solar flare is a good one. Solar flare did not make my list, and that was one of the things I had mentioned. I think on the original list.
You did. It was on a lot of lists as a probability.
Yeah, I mean, what's really theoretically stopping that from happening? Like nothing.
Nothing. No, a one fucking rough spot of the sun just spitting out a fucking bunch of plasma and radiation. Man. And I think we had one recently that caused some pretty massive problems. I think to the GPS systems. I think a whole network of the GPS satellites got fucked up. A couple other things too.
Yep.
Communication satellites. So anyways.
That's a good one.
I fucked up my TV, which really pissed me off. So that's number 7. What do you got?
7, war. I don't know if you're noticing a theme.
Why is war so high, though?
7?
What's in the top 5 for you? Aliens?
I don't like number 3. I like Solar Flash and be my number 3, but it's not.
Okay.
Fuck. Anyway.
I'm completely happy with my list
sucks.
still, though.
You still happy with your list?
I'm fine with my list.
I don't like my list.
Okay.
I mean, I like the bottom portion. I think that this. I don't think. I think I should have switched China with number 7.
Okay.
Or Middle East with number 7.
Why did I'm not surprised that your list is going this way.
You
still haven't said North Korea is number 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think really that should probably be 10. Middle East should be here at 7.
Okay.
So North Korea, because
but those could change on a daily basis.
Yeah, that guy's just a fucking dumb. He's a dim-witted nut job.
He's crazy. So what you're saying is that he's
out of pure stupidity.
He's just
both
crazier
of our
than
leaders.
he's crazier than Putin, and he's I don't even know who the ruler of China is. I should probably know, but
Yang something Chang. XI, and I don't.
Zhang.
Yeah, I'm gonna screw it up. So.
Okay,
but yeah, totally. I mean, there's just too many morons in the equation.
Well, I just read they said they found more potential facilities and more potential missile bases, even more than they thought. And I question that going all the way back to Iraq and the weapons of mass destruction.
Well, how do you prove a negative? That's the tough thing.
I know.
So that's my number 7. Number 7 sucks. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay. Well, it just I think
there's wasabi peas. I'll live.
Wasabi peas, fuckers. I think that what we're learning.
Why are these sweet? They're salty and spicy and crunchy and sweet.
It's like a little bit of heaven. Let's see what we got here for ingredients. Green peas. So here's, I think, going to answer your question. Well, no.
I guess green peas are sweet.
It has cornstarch, which I'm guessing which is what they mix up the cornstarch, wasabi flavor, palm oil, and liquid sugar.
There it is.
So basically, they use simple syrup in this, and that's why it's slight. So that's what they use to. They probably dip the peas in this solution, and then they shoot the wasabi at it.
With the cornstarch.
They have Chinese children with mouthfuls of wasabi, even though it's Japanese, going
Japanese
and just blowing wasabi on them.
I'm sorry, I'm like, okay, I'm stopping.
It actually is it's actually a product of Malaysia, though. So it's a little Malaysian kids blowing wasabi on the sweet peas.
Wait a minute, these came from Malaysia?
A product of Malaysia. What's the licorice? Sorry, we're taking a break from this.
You said this is Amish. They have Amish
No,
in
Malaysia? Hold on. This is Amish. This is from Millersburg, Ohio.
Okay.
This is Amish. This is
Amish.
backroad country.
Okay.
So this is a country of origin, the United States. So
old-fashioned.
This is Malaysian.
Twist.
It's wasabi, though. What are the fucking Amish doing with
I don't like.
How fucking stupid am I?
You said.
Why would you listen
Amish.
to me?
I don't know.
Like, the fucking Amish are big on wasabi.
Well, no, I mean, the Amish will make anything, man.
There's two guys with, like, those beards.
Except iPhones.
There's two guys standing in a field, a pea field, with those beards. You know, the ones with the no mustache part.
Mm-hmm.
It's good son Eric and good son John. Good son John, you know what these peas need? You know that wasabi that your wife used last week?
Oh, I thought this was an actual joke.
No, it wasn't actual. It is a real joke.
Oh,
it's funny.
Oh no, I thought there was, two guys walking a field. I was waiting for like a punchline.
No.
Okay. Sorry.
So, anyways, yeah, because they were just thinking, what would make these peas better, good son Eric? And he would say some wasabi for sure.
Yeah,
I have a crop I just got in from Malaysia. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I was talking about.
I just deleted something on accident.
Uh-oh. Is this recording?
Is it? Okay.
It's still lit.
All right.
Okay. So we are at number
6.
At number 6, I don't really have a lot to say. I think number 6 is climate change. The only reason why I have climate change that low on the list is because, once again, I told you, I started to divide things up in, is it imminently probable, or is it, as while it is highly probable, and we all agree that something is happening, it will not officially happen for further along the road than this other thing. The probability this other thing could happen every week, every day, whatever. That's how I kind of carved it up.
Right. It's like kind of a little more sure of happening, but over a longer
since it's over a longer
span.
period of time. As of right now, I took a snapshot and I locked it in. I have to make my decision based on the data I have in front of me.
Mhm.
Once again, I was done reading my articles. I wasn't you're struggling based off of something that you read like fucking yesterday. Your list fucking changed.
Right.
I'm locked in as of this moment. This is my list.
Right.
Climate change is number 6.
Just so you know, that I went through the same mental exercise.
Okay.
And I came to the same exact conclusion. I have number 6 climate change as well.
Okay, that's fine.
We actually
that's why
lined up on climate change.
Oh, right.
When you said climate change,
I saw you. Smile.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good spot for climate change because
it's right in the middle too.
It's kind of right in the middle. It's like an inevitability, but can other things happen before it?
It's not imminent now, immediately now.
Right. Though some people, even the time frame, so even if it's they say 20 years, let's say.
Yeah.
The ones I have above it could probably happen. I think I have a higher probability within 20 years. Though, number one would be crazy.
I think it's funny. I'm interested what your number 1 is now too. As we're narrowing it down. We're in the top 5 now.
Number 1 would be crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how possible it is. I don't know. I'm looking at it now, and I'm looking at it. I'm not sure. But so then you're number 5.
My number 5, once again, lumping things together, I have natural disaster, super volcano, earthquake, tsunami, something along those lines that could.
Okay, so you took natural disasters and split them into an earthly disaster and an
internal and external.
Yeah. Something that coming from outer space versus something that originates on the planet.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I have some of that in the list too, but I was a little more specific.
Yeah. I went general, and like I said, they're in little brackets next to it because I wrote them out, and there was like 20 things, and I'm like, well, okay, can I group these where that would be, and it wouldn't affect where I was picking it, and I thought through it. I'm like, no, I think the likelihood is still there. That's still more likely than some of these other things right now.
And going detailed, while it seems like you might be trying to be more accurate. It actually be probably less accurate because there are natural disasters that are probably have similar likelihood that are not this particular one.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a good idea to probably put them together.
So what do you have for 5? Is it a natural disaster?
Fucking list sucks.
What do you have at 5?
5?
Yeah.
Oh, 5. I mean, I could defend any of these, but okay. I still think it sucks. It doesn't. I'm going to stick by it. It's number 5, stagflation.
Stagflation. Okay.
Sort of what's going on in Venezuela right now.
Okay.
When the entire country is just in the fucking street.
It would have to be bigger than that, though, right? And I have something like that in my list. Well, but it's higher in my list. But yes.
What would have to be bigger?
Well, I mean, what's going on in Venezuela is may seem like an end to their culture, but it's not directly affecting our culture yet, right?
Right. No, I'm saying the stagflation that happened there that caused the people to get in the streets could also happen here.
Yes.
So not related
would have to be like
Venezuela.
The world economy.
No, because we're being kind of replaced in the world economy, slowly but surely, by China and I guess mostly China.
So that's an argument for China to be higher then.
Yeah, maybe no. Well, that's just a war started by China. It could be, China could be the impetus of this.
Yeah, couldn't they be the
Russia could be the impetus to this, but it's more of an economic thing, a socio-economic.
They could trigger that as a part of a precursor to war.
A socio-economic breakdown, where we're no longer the world's currency. We have no, inflation's going through the roof and nothing's growing. People just have less jobs. There's more automation. There are more poor people. There are more draws on the system. Social Security is completely tapped. People are older and living longer, making Social Security even less viable. Pension plans start falling apart as stock markets start to crash. People are fucking not making any money. Companies start tightening their belts. They tighten wages. They tighten job opportunities. Meantime, everything's costing more and more and more and more and more until it always breaks down.
Yeah,
it could totally happen. It could happen.
No, and then you maybe force one culture to be like way more aggressive militarily because their economy's not there. They need to go and conquer somebody else. Isn't that? I mean, wasn't the euro doing way better than us not too long ago? Wasn't that like?
I think it's still doing better than us.
Is it still?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, the Canadian dollar is worth less than the U.S. dollar.
Yeah, that fluctuates. Most of the time, it's been less, but a couple of times it crossed the other way.
No, I mean, we just got a hotel up there for Niagara Falls when we went up, and I was pleased to realize that when they gave me the number, it was in Canadian dollars, and I broke it down. I was like, "Oh shit, this is fucking nice. I don't care. I'll spend the extra money on the hotel room.
Yeah,
work my way." But I thought the euro was. The EU is falling apart. Britain's exiting that. I think the viability of the euro is it's gotta, as that thing starts to dissolve, and it seems like that's the way it's going.
Right?
Doesn't that's gotta lose some traction and start to.
The euro,
fall
yeah,
off.
but then the British pound will be probably higher, no?
Yeah, for Britain, but what about for the rest of Europe that are still on the euro?
Yeah, well, that causes European. Well, that could feed into our stagflation. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, and a economic breakdown within Europe totally would affect us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's number 5.
Number 5. Okay. So we are at number 4.
Number 4.
So I'm looking now at my 3, 4, and 5, and now I'm suffering from where you suffered, where those 3 could be moved around.
Okay, so your list sucks too?
No, I'm still happy with my list.
Okay.
I just 3, 4, 5, I think it can move around based on things. But for number 4,
okay,
I have nuclear war.
Okay, 4. I see. You just went, yeah. Okay.
I mean, this is whatever happens. This is Kim Jong-il starts firing missiles and everybody starts returning fire and we fucking end the whole thing, or even a small nuclear strike where, we're going to get fallout that's going to cause ecological damage and disaster about that.
You got environmental precautions.
Yeah, repercussions, which can cause massive global problem, poison the oceans and food sources dying. Yeah, Gamma World is to the extreme. When you read the backstory of that, which was
happened twice, right?
No, it happened once, but it was just the proliferation of all the technology, and that aside from even just countries having massive scale technology and weapons, like corporations had massive scale weapons, and your compound people had massive scale weapons, and it just turned into, fuck it, I want to fire my shit off. And some of it was AI driven. Who started it when they all started firing, but the whole fucking thing went haywire.
It's fun.
It's a fun place.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so that's my number 4, nuclear war. I don't know if there's much else to say about it. It's
it's
the day after. We've been worried about nuclear war since the 80s and the Cold War.
You took the countries that I had listed separately and you kind of put them in one.
Yeah, more or less, yes.
Right.
But
all
yes,
right.
Number 4, nuclear
Number
war.
4.
For those of you keeping track at home.
For number 4, I have asteroid or meteor.
Asteroid or meteor. Okay.
But I should have had solar flare there too.
So you're saying it's more likely that an asteroid or meteor hit our planet and cause a problem than Korea or China or Russia do anything? It's more probable.
I think so. Yeah, that's why I said.
Okay.
That's why I said when all that stuff was going on, I said they're pretty low down the list. Like have things ahead of it.
See, my thought was the human element is probably more likely than the astronomical chances of something like that happening because of the size of the universe. But people just generally being fucked up and flawed and selfish, the same type of person that would go into a school and shoot it up because they were pissed at one person, could be the same person that had the fucking key that could turn it to launch a fucking nuclear missile.
Well, everybody stamps. We need 2 keys for that. And they have to be turned at the same
same time. If they don't, it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
There's no second chance.
Right. And me having the asteroid and meteor thing up there, I think just points to how I don't think that maybe some of these other things were as much of a threat. I think that the top 5 really of the list are the real threats ahead of, like, I don't think, war with Russia, like, now I sound like I'm arguing against the second half of my list, but being the bad half. Oh, geez, is that the time? Holy fuck.
Yeah, and my phone is at 1%.
Phone's at 1%. Oh, Jesus. All right. Yeah. No, asteroid will have no, like, if war with any of these countries began to start, I think that it would be probably squelched pretty quickly out of the fear of knowing the devastation. I don't know. Or maybe not.
I mean,
it's there. It's not like it's not on my list, but it's there. But an asteroid, I think there's too much shit flying around out there, and it's a fucking pinball. The universe is just a big pinball machine. It really is. And there's shit crashing into everything all over the place, all the fucking time. Look at our moon. It's fucking covered in fucking divots. So I don't think it is, outside the realm of a possibility of there. Now, can we do something about it? Maybe.
Yeah, we got to get Bruce Willis. We get a team of miners.
So should I have factored in the ability to avert these things too? I mean, but this list is hard.
Aside from my Armageddon joke that you just glanced over.
Yeah,
again,
sorry.
Not the first time you glanced over my Armageddon joke. Yeah. Michael Bay is probably really fucking pissed off at you.
I didn't see Armageddon.
What the serious fuck, Nick?
I just know what it's about. And you want me to go through the plot of Armageddon?
Is this like the movie that you wrote that Stephen King stole from you?
Yeah. No, I stole it from him. I didn't realize.
Maybe it's just a good idea that two brilliant minds shared. Let's just treat it like that.
Well, that's what somebody told me. He said you should look at it as a good thing. That means you and the both of you were on the same wavelength.
Also frightening at the same time, though, because it's Stephen King.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, what would we do to avert? I mean, we're talking about launching a nuclear missile at the fucking thing and try to move it. What if it? I mean, so big. It might be avertible if it were small enough, but if it were big enough, we'd have to fucking shoot every missile in the fucking. I mean, I don't even know if we could budget.
Well, then you just turn one problem into like 100 smaller problems.
Exactly.
That's why we really wouldn't. As of now, we don't really have an answer. We're unprepared for it, and they are preparing for it. Yeah, now, that should tell you something too. I don't think they'd be working on something like that willy-nilly. So, I mean, and they're looking at like a 10-year window, I think, of being. So that 10-year window, again, is ahead of the 20-year window of climate change. And can stagflation happen within 10 to 20 years?
Yeah, it's possible.
So that's kind of where I got number 4, asteroid.
Did you, speaking of which, when we're talking about asteroid and missiles and shooting stuff down, did you read that story about there's a brewery in near Pittsburgh that bought an old missile bunker that they're turning into a brewery?
No, let's go.
We need to broadcast from there was the first thing I thought is we need to live cast from this thing in Pittsburgh. They purchased it to actually make a place where they're brewing beer in the sub-basement of one of these, what was it, a Nike Hercules missile base. So it's like medium to short range missiles. Mostly, I'm guessing because of where it is, would have been like for a centralized defense system. So if inbound nuclear missiles were coming, these Nike missiles would try to intercept them or minimally be put, smaller warheads would be put on them so that maybe if New York got invaded, they would just fucking nuke New York.
Right.
And stop this invading force. Who knows what the fuck they were going to do with it, but the fact that they're building a brewery and a missile base.
That was the zombie apocalypse, right?
That's
gotta nuke the city.
Yeah, that's so anyways, so yeah, I just thought that was interesting, and first thing I thought was
we have to go.
We should go. Yes, you and I should take. I need to go out there to watch a Pirates game anyway, so we should maybe package it out.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
So, because I mean, at least Lucas and I will go. Maybe Dean, I don't know.
So number 3 is Pittsburgh Brewery?
No. Number 3 is not Pittsburgh Brewery. That fits into... I had Nuclear War for 4, and you had Asteroid for 4, and then I thought about this Nike defense base where they're making a brewery, and I thought, well, that's a good tie-in between our two. And also our show. So, and also a useless topic.
No, I got it.
I'm over-explaining now.
Yeah,
is it because it's 1:30 in the morning?
Yeah, I do that when we role play.
Okay. It's my turn now. So, anyways, we were number 3. And this, you kind of hit this already with your stagflation. I put economic collapse at number 3, which is essentially your stagflation on a global.
Yeah, so we're close to each other on that.
Yes, very close. And I felt, but once again, more probable. We see the stock market constantly fluctuating all the time. Whether this is caused by China or somebody else, I think it still all falls in the same category for me. Those are all equally probable and more high probability than a natural disaster or an astronomical event because they're human driven. So that's my number 3. What do you have? I don't know. I don't think there's anything else to add to that. That's why I'm cutting it short.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like we're burnt out.
It didn't help that we're about 30 minutes later than we intended to be because of the at least 30 minutes. Yeah, because there was a whole delay where you got batteries and we tried to recover from losing that shit,
and then we had to explain, and then
and so now it's gone, and that was why I wanted to hurry and get back on the horse because I was like,
and then I rolled the 2 1s and I got lost in the fucking
and that
woods.
was deflating too. And maybe if the recording hadn't have stopped, you wouldn't have rolled the 1s. And we would have been there sooner and done sooner, like we planned.
Jeez,
I think we need to start.
I feel like I'm ripping through like the top 3 things on our list.
But you know what, though, dude? Like a lot of them, I think we have bleed over, and I think we talk about it. If I mention it first, we've already talked about it. So I think that's why the list is going quicker as we move along. Because there's stuff earlier on my list that I've already talked about, and you've already said things about.
Okay, that's true.
What am I going to say about economic collapse? You've already talked about it, so there's not much else to say.
No, yeah, I don't. Yes, okay,
yeah, right. So don't worry about that. I think we're fine.
All right.
Nobody sees how tired you look.
Oh, I gotta freaking I gotta go car shopping tomorrow.
Oh, you'll be making great decisions on this.
Oh my god,
it'll be fantastic.
Freaking Volkswagens.
Goddamn Germans.
Yeah, that freaking car was a nightmare.
All right, what do you have for number 3, dude?
Super volcano.
Super volcano is at number 3.
Yellowstone's just gonna blow up.
Okay.
You
went like geostorm. You went like very natural disaster-y, earth-shattering events.
That volcano is overdue.
Well, when that Swedish volcano erupted, it caused a lot of problems in fucking Europe, dude. Was it Swedish?
I don't know.
Norway, Sweden,
nearly the size of the one in Yellowstone.
No, that's what I'm saying. And that one was smaller. I mean, look at the one in Hawaii. That was fucking problematic to Hawaii. If you talk about anything that's more significant than that, like the one that's the size of
Yellowstone.
Yes. I mean, that's a problem. That's a problem for us specifically.
Oh, well, no, it's a problem for the world. That thing blows, it's over.
Yeah.
I don't know how good a bunker is going to do in that situation.
You would need a proper filtration system.
You need massive filtration.
Massive, yeah.
Air and water. And then you also need a lot of food for a long, long time.
And you would need a way to go out to clean the filtration system too, because I would imagine if the ash was significant, it would clog almost any filtration system.
And it'd be like, do you ever read Wool?
No.
Like Hugh Howey?
Mm-mm.
It would be like that. We'd be like, you just put a suit on and go outside. And if your suit cracks, you're dead.
But that's the depressing reality of it is with the bunker and stuff. It's like, who wants to survive in that world anyways, and why? I mean, it would be misery, dude. It would be complete and total misery.
Oh, well, sure.
I mean, you can only live here, and we talked about this. You could only be here.
Well, I don't know.
So
I mean, you got a couple of role-playing books. You could fill a couple of years pretty quick. But I mean, we fill a whole day, the whole evening, and we didn't even. And what we do, we hardly, what'd we do?
Yeah.
We'd be like, we can go on and on and on with games. I could play games. I don't think we'd run out of beer.
Yeah, but like the thing that
always
scares
me
is
hydroponics.
What do you do? Like I said, unless you're fully self-sustaining, and then you got to worry about the people outside trying to get what you got.
Right. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
It gets crazy, yeah. And so
things get weird.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the humans that you worry the most about. The Walking Dead is not about the zombies. It's about the people.
Right.
They're the Walking Dead because they're just a matter of fucking time. They kill each other more than the zombies kill them. So that was always the thing you worry about. And, if you're not self-sustaining and maybe you have some fucking cans in a closet, at some point you end up making some tough decisions like, am I going to eat my fucking dog? Am I going to eat fucking drywall? People get crazy when hunger starts to sink in. Sorry, not strike in. But all right, so that's your number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to
So
hate
number
on you.
2.
Number 2. I have terrorism as number 2. Radiological, biological, chemical, or nuclear terrorism as my number 2 reason why the world might end.
I have no terrorism on this list, unless you count Middle East escalation.
I mean, I think
that's profiling.
But I think it's more likely that some crazy fucking group of people would do something than a formal government would do something, because I think bureaucracy would hold things back. But a terrorist group is like, do it now.
There is no bureaucracy.
Yeah. So
that's what makes them effective.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Why don't I have terrorism on my list?
It wasn't on as many lists that I looked at, but I thought as I started to organize it, I was like, dude, that would be.
Well, I don't know. You know what it is? Can they affect us to the point of a bunker? Like they would have to do.
But was that
if they did like full? If they did like twice the size of 9/11, you're still not in a bunker.
What if they fired a dirty bomb off in 3 countries in the world, major countries in the world? London, New York, Los Angeles.
No, we still don't need a bunker.
But see, even stagflation, would you need a bunker? Or would
really?
Because
what you were just saying about people, hungry people.
I don't know.
There's people starving in the streets because they can't afford anything, but you have a stockpile.
What if it were a 12 monkey situation where
I'm locking myself down? I'm racking my,
Maybe. Where we live, we'd see people coming. But yeah, I don't know. What if it was a 12 monkey situation where they infected people with some kind of fucking disease and had them go all over the world fucking spreading this disease? A bioterrorism event. Anthrax.
Bioterrorism is possible, but do they have that? I know they're going actively after it. I know that I'm sure they want that, but I don't think that's easy.
Well, all they need is some scientist in a lab who's compromised and needs a little money, and it's one fucking vial. What the fuck? It's just one vial?
No.
Get the germ super germ out of there.
He's a super germ that's going to kill the world. First of all, you have to engineer that germ in such a way where you're not going to contract it yourself. So you can't do it. It's not as easily done in a cave.
What if you don't care about it, though? What if you don't care if you contract it yourself? What if you just want to kill a fucking ton of people?
Well, you care because then it's not effective. Like, what if you just create something that just kills everybody in the room and eventually dies off a second that hits the air outside the cave? It's useless. Something with a short lifespan. You don't know what it is. You have to study it to see if it's worth the risk of producing it. I don't know.
We'd have to assume that we don't know that there isn't something that was created by somebody that was fucking highly virulent and highly contagious and highly dangerous that's fucking put away somewhere.
Right.
And that sounds paranoid. But
I think that's good. Terrorism should definitely be on the list.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about, whether it was affecting the globe or a region. If a dirty bomb went off here, we would want a fucking bunker.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I went into the more likelihood. Could it be lower? Like I said, I think these things could slide all over the fucking place. And we ask anybody who's listening, if you have a fucking list, post it to the fucking Twitter feed so we know what you think.
Exactly.
Take the same things and let us know what you think.
You could make fun of our list or
rip on it. Yeah, and we're going to post it. The plan is to post our ridiculous fucking lists.
Yeah, really.
So that's my number 2.
Knock our list.
Number 2 is terrorism.
So mine is kind of similar but different.
Okay.
It's not terrorism, but we did touch on the bio stuff.
Uh-huh.
Mine's the flu.
Okay.
The flu morphs into something that we as a species cannot handle.
Well, so it's interesting that you said that.
Okay.
Because I'm going to say this right now. My number 1 is pandemic.
Yeah.
Is the flu. Because I was reading about the flu back, when was it? In the Spanish flu was like, there's been a bunch of them. They've wiped out massive amounts of population. Something that was, now granted we have medicine, but you have to be able to move quick enough. And
you're talking about the Spanish flu?
Was it the Spanish flu? There was a last one.
The Spanish flu killed more people than the plague.
Yeah. And
actually killed more people in a 10-year span than I think World War II and some other war. And put together something like 90 million people. I don't know how. No, it was some astronomical number.
The dangerous thing is that the people at the front lines of that are caring for people are susceptible to it. So if it's something particularly virulent, your medical staff are going to go down, and if it's deadly, you could lose half of the people that are taking care of the people that are sick, and then they become sick, and then it just starts to spiral out of control when it's something that massive.
Right.
And I think about it because I've had the flu, and I did not get it this year, and I also still have not gotten my flu shot. I'm an idiot. But the past 2 years, I have not gotten my flu shot. I swore I would, and I legitimately was tested for and had the flu 2 fucking times, and dude, that's miserable, bro.
The flu sucks.
Dude. I mean, you know when you have the flu. You're like, this is not a cold. This is not stuffy.
Yeah, no.
Like, I really just want to fucking die. Like, my head is pounding. Your body's just fucking aching. You're fucking drained.
Yeah.
It's terrible. My brother-in-law somehow was at my house 2 Christmases ago, got the flu, left on Christmas Day to drive home because he didn't want to be sick at my house because there was no rest with the kids.
Right.
Because they just run around screaming and they're going to be home for weeks.
Right.
And he was not going to recover. I don't know how he got in the car with the flu and drove 7.5 hours to get home.
Oh, jeez.
Like a fucking soldier.
Well, I mean, I think you just you're retreating.
Holy
you're
shit.
full. Your adrenaline's just pumping. I gotta get home
You
before
just
this
want to
kicks
go
in
home,
full.
yeah. And yeah, no, it was in. No, he went
Right.
home. They tested him the next day. It was like, you have the fucking flu.
Right.
Yeah. And here's your Tamiflu to reduce the severity. Immediately felt fucking better.
What?
Tamiflu?
What's that?
That's the fucking. It reduces the severity of the flu. So the effects that you have.
It's a prescription, I think.
It's a prescription, yeah. But you take it, dude, and it was like, I got it too because I was sick the same time. He left, and I started feeling like shit. And then I took this Tamiflu shit. Oh, it's fucking magic, dude.
Really?
Oh,
Tamiflu.
It's unbelievable. So, anyways, my number one is pandemic.
We're pretty close with the flu and climate change. All right, so my number one. I don't know. I don't know if this should go before the flu. But I just see too much shit, too much weird shit going on. It's too much time on Twitter.
Yeah.
Too much time on Twitter with this revolution.
Revolution, okay.
A revolution of some kind. Yeah. Yep. The yellow vests going on in, where is that? France? It's spreading to Canada now. They're just taken to the fucking streets.
The yellow vests?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
They are, I believe it's France.
Crossing guards?
They sort of dressed like crossing guards. They wear like these yellow vests, and they go out and they were demonstrating. And I don't know, there was some policy that I'm going back like several months, like maybe the middle of 2018, where I don't remember the exact specifics, so I'm butchering this, but there was just some policy changes that the president was putting forth, and the people weren't standing for it and started taking to the streets and protesting, similar to like started off like just our Occupy Wall Street type of thing. It was kind of like that, but it escalated and it got bigger and bigger and bigger in the marches, and they were so much on to, becoming so destructive or obstructive, really, that the president actually made changes to the policies, but like half-assed ones to try and save face, and hoping that they would just go away, and instead it like emboldened them and also pissed them off more, because they saw through that bullshit, that he was just playing more politics, and he thought he was just, that they were dumb. Like it was just, he was doing something on the front end, but really taking it again in the back.
Yeah.
And so they freaked out about it. And then it started spreading to Canada. Now there's some like yellow vest things popping up in Canada. And in France, I don't seen it most recently, but I was going to be taking it off the list. But then I just realized I'm not seeing it in the news that much anymore, probably because it's a little bit old news.
Yeah.
It's being trumped by Trump.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean it's not happening in the background. There's so much that happens outside, beyond our noses that we're ignorant to. That I totally see this being something that is spreading right now as we sit here and speak. And then today I saw, this one was going to take it off. I saw Venezuela, actual revolution happening.
Yeah.
And again, it's another country. It's somewhere else. But the whole idea of revolution has not been this fresh and upfront in front of the people as it's been in the past maybe 2-3 years. I mean, except for back in the 1700s.
Well, I mean, it even goes back to the Roman times when they talked about the mob, which is where, the mob, we're not talking about the mafia mob, but the mob being this idea that the small amount of people that are ruling have to be respected and feared by the large amount of people that they're governing. Otherwise, if they come to the realization that they actually have the numbers, it gets scary,
Exactly.
And that's when you need to put physical force on that group of people to stop them. And what if they're not afraid of that? As in some countries, they're not afraid when you roll the military out. And what if people in the military fucking object to what's going on? And all of a sudden now you got a situation where parts of the military are joining the people that are revolting because they're like, what the fuck are we doing? I'm not just going to...
Well, that was what the Venezuelans were trying to do. They're trying to get the military to turn on the president.
Yeah.
And so far it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
But how long is that? And then when they do, then, it's a coup of sorts. But
so it
could also be a revolution. A coup is means you tripped on the way to a revolution and landed on a comfy bed. You could have just as easily slipped and fell into a pit filled with alligators of despair, which is redundant.
But let's talk about what you're saying though. The government shutdown that we're
going
through now.
And now we're going through a government shutdown.
I mean, is that just meant to piss the government off against the president? I mean,
hundreds and thousands of people. I mean, more than 1 million people, I'm sure, federal employees not getting paid, being asked to work.
Non-essential programs are shut down.
Non-essential programs shut down. Just again, so you're looking at 1 million disgruntled, hungry people on top of the Antifa crowd, and on top of the people, the red hats and beating their chests, on top of, maybe it's not revolution as much as maybe civil war. Or
it would go
revolution / civil.
It would go hand in hand.
Yeah.
It is civil
it's either
war.
It'll be either us against the government or us against each other. It sometimes gets so nasty on Twitter. It'll get so nasty on Facebook. It gets nasty in people to the point where they don't even really listen to each other anymore. They just and it's there's so much hatred. There's so much. It's so I don't know. It's so it's ripe. It's you could smell it.
No, it's certainly we are divided. Clearly divided. They want to vilify Trump so that everyone can be united in hating him. And some of this stuff, I mean, look, there's been threats of government shutdowns under other presidents. It's never gone on this fucking long.
Never gone this long.
And also, I mean, look what Pelosi's doing with the fucking State of a Union address, and that's clearly some fucking gamesmanship. And whatever, you've got to make your point. But if this were Obama, would this have gone on this long? And here's what I view too, and once again, without getting super political, the situation we're in now is in the vacuum of what happened when Obama got elected and the people that felt left out by Obama being elected. It was almost like if you weren't a supporter, you couldn't be critical at all. You were accused of different things if you were critical of him. You were put in a bucket, and it was very difficult to criticize any of his policies. Even if you had a legitimate argument, it was like, oh, you're racist. Wait. I'm talking about his fucking socialism policy. I'm not talking about his fucking color of his skin. P.S. He's not really a black guy. He's like Muslim. He's from the Middle East or something.
He's not Muslim.
Where's he from?
Hawaii.
Hawaii?
Yes.
Okay. So anyways.
Oh, jeez. What do you don't tell me you want these birth certificate people. You think he needs you don't think you think he's like a Saudi Arabian. You were just making fun of Putin puppet Trump stuff. Now you're saying,
Oh, I fucking hate everybody. Believe me, no, because
that's
there were
true.
people. The Republican people were hating me earlier, and now the fucking Democrats are hating me because I fucking hate everybody. The situation. I'm saying
that's the truth.
But I'm saying, though, that him being elected pissed off a bunch of people because they were left out and brutalized over a period of time, and they got mad. And then they elected this other fucking guy.
Oh, Trump to me is just a big fuck you.
Absolutely.
It's
He's
like,
a giant fuck
you.
you.
Fuck you guys.
How do you like it for the next hopefully only 4 years? But
Right.
God help us, dude. If he gets elected, you want to talk about fucking revolution in this country? If he gets reelected,
Right. Well,
it's gonna say two things. One, it's gonna piss a lot of people off, and two, it's gonna tell you about this country, dude.
Right.
It's gonna we sit up here in the Northeast and we think we understand in our higher, big city life and enlightened people, and who's really in charge in this country, dude? Who's really in charge in this country? Is it these areas of higher learning and these educated areas, or is it that down in the South, dude, where the fucking weeds grow high and everything is red? Everything is red, dude.
I don't know if it's even. I don't know, dude.
I don't want it to be. I don't want to be in the middle of this social experiment, though, man.
Like, what if, and even the other way, what if Hillary Clinton ran again and won?
I don't.
There'd be people in the streets,
dude.
There'd be people in the streets and here's another thing. This is when we kick Trump out.
Mm-hmm.
If we kick Trump,
because you believe he's going to be impeached. Is it just a matter of time?
It depends on what this Mueller thing says. Obviously,
yeah.
There's a lot of screwed up stuff, but it may just be some screwed up stuff. It may not just be something that's chargeable.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no telling, there's no knowing. But if it were to happen, let's say, then you have Mike Pence.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Does the whole administration get kicked out?
No.
Do you have to do a reset?
No.
Do you have to do a revote?
No, it's an impeachment,
dude.
In the event of an impeachment, the vice president takes over.
But if
so you go from Trump 1, it's like a Dr. Seuss book. You went from thing 1 to thing 2.
But hold on though, because there's no precedent for this. If you're saying that the Russians colluded to affect our election, then Pence
might be a different thing.
So there's a different precedent.
That's a big. That's why I said that's an act of war.
Well, I mean, there's going to be a large group of people who are not going to be happy about him being impeached, and if the fair thing to do would be a revote, and the loser of the revote is going to be pissed. There's going to be a ton of unhappy people.
You put Hillary Clinton back on the ballot? You're just going to hand it to her?
I don't think. No, I think you have to do a revote. I think you have to do a revote.
A revote would
but how
be,
do you do?
How do
who
you
are the candidates?
With the same candidates?
No, you don't do it with the same candidates. You
start a new election.
I don't. How do you? Yeah, you have to start a new
well,
election. Who's running the country while that's happening?
Right, probably the vice president.
But he just got colluded to be a part of the Russian thing.
Well, no,
he can't.
He's got to be part of the charges. You have to impeach both of them, and that I've never heard of.
Him being impeached is, regardless of how you feel about him, is not a good thing. Because what are you going to do? Because, like you said,
next? Secretary of Defense or something.
But that's also appointed by Trump, who we already said was colluded to. Can you trust anybody who's in a position of authority? And it can't be the Speaker of the House.
At some point, it goes down to the Speaker.
But the reason why we have not three-party system, but the three-branch system, right. Executive, legislative, and judicial, is because the three things balance each other out. You've removed one of them. The one thing is the ultimate decider, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do? Yeah. It's better that he just doesn't get reelected. People who want to rush to impeach him, dude, that's a mess, and this is a fucking Pandora's box that they're messing with this thing. If they overturn a rock and Putin's underneath the rock, dude, you have to question everybody and everything that Trump put in place.
Well, that's exactly what the Democrats would love.
They would love it, but what about the chaos it will cause our country, and who's running us?
The Democrats will save our asses.
And
they'll win every election for the next 30 years. I'm sure that's the plan.
Or the vacuum and the mess created by that would provide opportunity for enemies to crush us.
They all have fucking top-notch bunkers.
What they do, they'll be fine. We'll be fucked.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is there'll be this big vacuum, there'll be mass chaos, and then China will pull the trigger on fucking economic collapse, and then we'd be in a big fucking mess. Then they'd send the troops over and fucking take us over.
So now, where's that on your list?
That's a combination of like three things on the list. And it's also almost 2:00 in the morning,
Yes.
so now we're just making
I think
shit
on
up.
that note, we completed the list. At least we valiantly made it through. Oh, look at this. We still did an hour and a half show.
I didn't worry about
We're
that.
fucking crazy bastards.
I know. That's what we've done. We've done conservatively almost 6 hours of recording, including the 35 to 45 minutes we lost.
Fuck. What the hell's wrong with us?
And then we talked for an hour before. I'm
Yeah,
fucking
what's
done. I
wrong
don't want
with
to see you
us?
for another 2 weeks.
We're coming over for a Super Bowl party.
That's
next
we broadcast the week after.
What, 3 weeks of me is too much?
It might be too much.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm kidding.
Well, listen, you don't have to come to the party. Fuck you.
I just won't talk to you.
Oh, don't
Is
talk
that
to
going to be weird?
There'll be plenty of people here. I can have other friends.
So be like, I thought you guys were friends. Don't you podcast together? I'm like, we're not talking today.
Yeah.
We talked for 7 hours straight.
Yeah, really. Anyway, listen, tell a friend. We're gonna put these lists up somewhere. That's what we're gonna do. And you guys can argue over it because my head hurts.
No, and I know there's got to be somebody who has a take on this. So I think we want to hear somebody else's take and justification.
Yeah, well,
This is where we need a voicemail set up so we can have people call in.
we have email.
Okay.
doomsdaydoopydoo@gmail.com. You can reach us on Twitter too.
If you send it to us, we'll read it on the air.
That's right.
I promise.
Okay. Chris promises.
I promise. Nick might not give it to me, but I promise. If I see it, I'll read it on the air.
Okay.
No matter how bad it is.
No, I'll show you. I'll show it to you. On that note, am I forgetting anything?
I think we do the
I'm probably forgetting a lot.
Twitter.
Of things. Yeah, look for some
Doomsday
Twitter.
do with 1 O.
Doesn't matter.
And
Stitcher.
your Twitter is.
What else? Other things. YouTube. Even YouTube. We don't have the video yet.
We don't want the video.
Yeah, no, we need video. You're drawing the maps, especially.
Leave us give us a 5-star review. Write it, but rip us apart in the write up.
Okay. And yeah, I think we already rated 5 stars.
We are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's something. I don't know why.
It's 4 people gave us good ratings.
Yeah, well, usually they don't show reviews unless enough people do it.
I still haven't been able to find those, by the way. I looked just to see if there was anything there, and I can't find what you're talking about. You said somebody wrote
good luck,
something.
Good luck freaking giving us the review. We can't even fucking figure out how to get to it to see it.
You don't see it.
All right. Have a good one, guys. And
Wasabi peas, bitches.